Here we go. I'm Jordan, and today we are going to be doing a webinar on starting an e-commerce business. And we're going to be going over a whole host of subjects today on that. And well, I think one of the core barriers to e-commerce is technology elements. I'm going a bit red, aren't I? Let's carry on, shall we? So I want to do a little introduction to the business support services. The business support service is a free virtual multi-channel information and guidance service, and we operate across the whole of England. Now we do have counterparts in Ireland, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. So if you are needing support in those areas, we can signpost you towards them. So do reach out. Now we do form a key element of the government's business support provision, and we work on behalf of the Department for Business and Trade, that being DBT abbreviated. And we help businesses from all sizes, all history as well. So we start with people who are thinking about starting a business for the very first time, all the way to those who've had businesses for generations as well. So our advisors can signpost you to information on national and local schemes, grants and loans to help your business start and grow. But that's a little introduction to who we are. And I'm one of the advisors on the team at the Business Support Service as well. So when you come through, you speak to people like myself, and we can help you with information and guidance there. And just to make you fully aware as well, there's the Business Growth Service. This is a website, business.gov.uk, that you can go to, and that's aimed to make it easier and quicker for SMEs to access government advice and support all under one roof. And there's a range of different written articles on there and information that you can find, as well as our contact details. However, you'll be able to see that at the end of our webinar as well. But let's get into it, shall we? E-commerce, such a big buzzword, and we're going to cover quite a few bits today, and we're going to go into a lot. Now, e-commerce itself is huge. It's been growing for the last 3 decades now, since really the internet boom and people started ordering online. And our webinar today is going to cover for people that are looking to sell products or maybe services online. If you're thinking about doing so as well for the very first time, and you already sell online, but you want to improve your understanding, which is a big part. A lot of people do jump into e-commerce two-footed without fully knowing everything. That's fine. We're always learning. But I'm hoping today you will go away and have a bit more of an understanding of the considerations. What I will also just quickly say is we'll have a little bit of a Q&A at the end. If you have any questions, I will look to try and answer them live today. If I'm unable to answer them or if we run out of time, I appreciate I was a couple of minutes late. We can certainly put it on there, but let's carry on. So we're going to cover the essentials of e-commerce, choosing the right platform and tools, what fits what you're doing, attracting and retaining customers, and some of the common pitfalls to avoid. We'll also touch a little bit on consumer contracts today as well. So, what is e commerce? Well, e commerce is the form of selling products, services, bookings via the internet. And it is a way where payments can be taken electronically and orders fulfilled digitally as well. So, there are three core ways of what e commerce is. A lot of people do assume e commerce is the purchase of products, and that's it. You purchase just physical products, but actually, e commerce is all forms. If you're booking something like a hotel room online, that is a form of e-commerce. You're ordering a takeaway, maybe it's by one of the popular platforms, that is e-commerce as well. And the areas and the three types of e-commerce that really stand out is physical products. This is where you buy something and it gets brought to you. You can physically hold it. Things like books, items of clothing, for instances, food and drink as well. You've got digital products. Now, digital products, for instances, could be an ebook. Maybe you like reading via an ebook. It could also be an audible as well, an audible book. So they're two examples. I'm at the, I've just seen one of your messages there. So all the copies of this presentation. I can see there my colleague Tracy. I do have some colleagues there in the chat support and has responded as well to you. But yeah, you will get the slides following at the end of this webinar as well. You like reading, Morton? So do I. What's your favorite type of book? I love reading. I try and read where I can. I've got 3 young children, so trying to find the peace and quiet to do so. Nonetheless, um, you've also got services as well. So you've got service-based e-commerce, things like Netflix, for instance, as an example, where you can watch TV You've got, well, there's loads of examples in terms of service-based, in relation to streaming platforms as an example. Also, the service-based is music platforms where you can listen to music as well. So popular e-commerce routes. Now, I wanted to touch on popular e-commerce routes because when you're first searching e-commerce, first learning about e-commerce as well, you will see a lot of buzzwords, a lot of, I suppose, ideas on how to start e-commerce. There's a whole host of ways you can do. It's such a broad subject. E-commerce is one of the most broadest subjects in starting a business you can get. So, what we're going to touch on is some of the ones that do just instantly pop up on any searches, any research that you may do, because I just think that's a good way to start. It's a good way to give you an understanding of those areas. The first one being white labeling and private labeling. If you've searched on creating your own product or starting your own product, then no doubt you've seen these terms. White labeling as a form of where you get a product that's already out there and you ultimately whack your logo on it, your branding on it to make it yours. It's a pre-made product, usually manufactured by a manufacturer. Popular versions of this is things such as coffee is a big one. So a lot of people start off with selling coffee with their own brand on. That's massive. It is quite a popular one for a lot of people that are starting businesses. You've also got supplements as well. The fundamental thing when you look at white labeling, okay, is making sure that whatever you're looking at is up to the UK standards. I'm adding some supplements there. Just making sure A, it's up to the standards that's required. So if we're talking consumer products like food and drink, making sure it's up to the food standard agencies requirements. The other fundamental thing with white labeling as well is you are a little bit at the mercy of the manufacturer because they're the ones who've created this product. It hasn't been created bespoke to you. They've created it and they're then reselling it with your own label on. So you've got inventory risks. You've got storage and fulfillment potential issues as well. Now, storage and fulfillment, normally with white labeling, some of them do drop shipping, which we're going to touch on. Normally with white labeling, you'll buy the product in bulk, you'll store it yourself, and you would deal with a lot of the fulfillment of that. You've also got the product liability as well, which is another core thing, but you're not controlling that element. Private labeling is slightly different in a lot of the cases. It's where you can work directly with a manufacturer that specializes in something. Very popular in things like perfume and fragrance. Now, with this, you are able to start building your own recipes, your own formulas, for instance, as we're talking perfumes or aftershaves, for instance, as beauty products as well. You have more control. It is bespoke to you. And again, the pros and cons are very similar. You do still have the inventory risks. You are getting a unique recipe created that's bespoke to you. Are you able to get that recipe in case anything was to happen to the manufacturer? Are you still at mercy with the manufacturer, for instances? But you've got brand equity. You are starting to build your brand awareness, which is so popular in e-commerce. When you're trying to build your brand, you're starting out for business, you want to build awareness. You want people to recognize things such as your brand name, your icons, your colors. It's how things are built up. We think of some of the biggest brands out there in e-commerce, and it's certain things that, or retail in general, actually, certain slogans, for instance. We can use "Just Do It" by Nike, for instance. A lot of different slogans that you will recognize, or the simple as the little icons and so forth as well. Oh, well, Mark, so you do honey distributing business in England and Wales? Honey's took a really good boom. Obviously, a lot of people see honey as a great complement to breakfast, especially those that are in very going in a bit of a health kick. I'm trying to lose a bit of padding that I've got here, so yeah, it's a popular one. Do you do the distribution? So do you make the product and then sell to other retailers, or do you sell it yourself on retail? Martin. Hi, Mohammed. Hope you're well. Fantastic. Let's have a look at the other one, drop shipping. Now, I just touched a little bit on drop shipping as well a little bit earlier, but drop shipping it is such a popular form of order of getting orders out to people of I suppose consumer progress in the way a lot of big retailers, some of the biggest retailers that you know, if they sell online, if they sell products that are going to be perishable instantly, such as food and drink, they'll likely use an element of drop shipping. A lot of the big businesses do it now because it just means that they're not getting their investment tied up in stock that's going to sit in a warehouse. They're able to do it in a little bit different ways. The pros of it, there is a low cost barrier to getting into drop shipping as well. And what I mean by that is you're not having to pay for the development of a product. You're not having to find and store the product in locations such as a storage and fulfillment center. It's lowering your cost. It's easier to scale your product range as well. You might drop ship electronics and you may want to increase the electronic range. Well, if you're having to invest money to make a new electronics every time, that's going to eat into your capital quite quickly. And it's actually going to give you maybe a ceiling, whereas drop shipping will allow you to expand your range a lot better, allowing you to reach customers. The critical point here, though, I cannot stress enough, is sometimes too many products can confuse a customer. So if you can, doesn't necessarily mean you should drop ship everything because it's going to dilute your brand. It's going to dilute the customer choice a little bit as well. So do bear that in mind. Your location is versatile as well. So location versatility is so important. And the pros of drop shipping means that you can be anywhere and do it. You're not dealing with any of the deliveries. You're not picking and packing and sending the product out to customers because through drop shipping, your supplier tends to do it for you, and they'll do it. Drop shipping is also known as sometimes direct to consumer delivery, and it's where manufacturers or wholesalers will directly deliver to your end customer. There is lower margins in drop shipping though as well. So do bear that in mind. Your margins will be slightly reduced because you're not having to deal with a lot of the overhead costs. So therefore, your margins be reduced because that cost is then added onto your cost price. Less control of consumer experience as well. If, for instance, you're drop shipping external to the UK into the UK consumers, the issue is it's that long time it takes to get there, and that is, I suppose, a bit of a concern for a lot of people. I know in a world where quick commerce is very popular, people don't want to be waiting several days to several weeks for products, and it can impact our customer experience, which of course they think they're ordering direct from you, so it impacts their opinion on you as well, and that could reduce your brand's reputation with particular customers. It can be complex shipping as well. Again, going back to that importing of products or that product coming from external to the UK, depending on the routes it undertakes and depending on how it arrives, there might be in terms of certain complex. So heavier products or food products, for instances, the lights have just decided to turn off on me. I do apologise. Motion sensor lights. I'm not going to dance for you though, so don't get your hopes up. But complex shipping is something to consider, and you do need to bear in mind with the returns management. One of the things always bear in mind with drop shipping is you've got a business to business agreement with the supplier. Therefore, the supplier, don't have to abide by the consumer rights of returns. It's you that does. And we'll use a very big example on this. Prior to being here at the Business Support Service, I used to help a lot of retailers get online and a lot of individuals to ultimately start e-commerce. Now, furniture drop shipping is very, very popular. It's something that is grew over years, and you'll see it on social e-commerce platforms such as your marketplaces on Facebook, so your TikTok and so forth. But you'll also see it on marketplaces and individual websites. People will sell sofas, and you'll see a lot of the sofas are the same, just named slightly different. That's likely because they're coming from the same supplier. The issue is if a customer decides they want to return said sofa, you need to deal with those returns. You need to issue the refund. You also need to find somewhere to store that return when it comes to you. And that's when the location versatility becomes a little bit shaky on that. It's worth noting. Now, certain suppliers will, of course, work with you. So it's always worth a conversation with them on areas such as consumer contracts. Where is the best honey based in England? I have no idea. If we're going to do trivia, Martin, I hope you know the answers, mate, because I no idea. Sing hives. There's someone there. I tell you what, you're stealing the show in this chat, Martin. Stealing the show. Print on demand is the next one. So pod is shortened. So print on demand is a way where it's very, very popular again. It's easily accessible for people. There's a low cost of entry to market as well. And print on demand is where you can get t-shirts, other garments, bags, and so forth, printed and delivered directly to your customers. You might set up an e-commerce website where people can put their own designs onto a t-shirt and get that delivered as well. There's zero inventory risk to you on this because all the inventory is up to date via the supplier. It's quick to market. You could likely get one set up in just a matter of hours, and it's hands off fulfillment. There is a higher unit cost though. That's a fundamental thing to consider. When you do your ultimately when you do your print on demand, when you buy your garments and if you do it yourself and you buy a garment, it's going to be a lower cost. When you do it through print on demand, you're having an additional cost of the garment and then the printing cost. It's likely going to be higher for you to buy than doing it yourself because you're paying for the storage and the logistics side of things as well. You will have a limited product range as well. You can't expand on the ideas you have unless if that company provides it. And one of the core things is brand consistency as well. Say, for instance, you're using a certain fabric, a certain material fiber on one of your products, but then that company stops stocking that product. Your consistency for that product's going to go down, or they slightly change it. Maybe it's the sizing, for instances. It may have an impact on you. So it's worth just noting that as well. But print on demand, as I say, it comes with the pros and cons, but as does everything you decide. And it really depends on a lot of consideration you're putting into place on that. So you've got a product, for instance, Morton's Honey, and you need to choose how to sell such product. There's a few ways you can do it. We're going to cover them now. You've got your own website. So you may decide to stock these on a website, for instances. There's a lot of accessible website builders there that allow you to do it very easily. You don't need to be an expert in coding to get a website live and start selling. And your own website is a great way to really start building your customer base. You can utilize third-party marketplaces. Should we all recognize that logo in the middle? Marketplaces such as Amazon, eBay, for instances, are very popular for people starting out and selling. You're going to access a ready to buy consumer base. People are already going on those websites. You're not having to drive traffic to them as well. You've also got social commerce. Now, social commerce, I think we can all agree TikTok shops being quite a popular route over the last couple of years. A lot of people have been selling on it. I know if I go on TikTok and I scroll on there, I see things such as live sweet shops, packing orders live, and it's become really, really big. And it's a way to directly reach customers, and it has that viability option as well. But why should we go for each one? So let's break it down a little bit more. Your own website, well, you get full brand control. You dictate the look, the feel, and the user experience, the UX. So it allows you to control all the brand areas, your branding, your logos, the way the products are showing to the customer as well. You own the data. So data ownership is so important. And this is where you need to consider whether you want to, what you're wanting to build in the long term. Because you own the consumer data collected, such as customer emails and customer behavioral data. You can utilize that for marketing. I'm sure many of us get emails all the time, marketing emails. I know I get a free product on my birthday, for instance, and it's a way to really drive consumer, um, repeat custom and really consumer retention. So collecting data is so important. Yes, you need to abide by PECA and GDPR, but if you can collect data and utilize it, that's great. However, the caveat to having your own website is You're fully responsible for the traffic. You need to work out how to drive consumers to you. Now, you can do that in many forms. You can use social media. You can use physical marketing like brochures to drive customers to you. But this is where the financial cost just hit as well. You don't just put a website live and hope someone lands on your page and buys. You need to have a plan of action in place. Technical management is also important. Yes, we have these websites which allow you to build and launch e-commerce sites for you. They're quite low bar in learning and utilizing. That's fine. But you have the technical skills to fix something if it goes wrong quickly? Or are you going to be relying on their customer service to support you? Because the site is yours, you do need to manage security updates and troubleshooting as well. Yes, you'll get an element of support from these third-party sites if you're using one, but I don't think it should be solely reliant on that. Upfront cost, the outlay to set up your own website, including driving initial traffic, comes at a cost. And that is the core thing to bear in mind. Okay. You are going to need to drive customers. You're going to need to put your products up in there. And yes, it's a monetary cost, but it is also a time cost. Putting products on a website, making sure the website's SEO and everything is up. So search engine optimization is all up to date. Making sure that you've got all your funnels there. It's all time. And then the monetary cost added onto that. Have you got the time and ability to do so while marketing your business, promoting on social media, and doing everything else? So it is a consideration. Now, I'm just saying here, you might have a team around you. Who knows? Your SEO is rubbish, Morton. Um, what I would recommend if you're looking at ways to really improve your marketing or get a better understanding of ways to market your business, search engine optimization, of course, is a big part. Make sure product descriptions have got keywords and so forth. You can contact our service, and the number is at the bottom of your screen there on the bottom right. You can contact our service. You can have a conversation on marketing and business growth, and the advisors can signpost you to relevant resources that can support you. Now, that could be mentoring. You might be able to find a mentor who has a background in marketing. It might be local or national support schemes as well. And it's a big thing. Now, I'm from the Northeast, if you haven't guessed by the accent. And my grandma used to always say, shy bangs getting out, which ultimately translates. I'm not talking a different language there. It translates to if you don't ask, you don't get. So always reach out to us if you're not too sure, and we can either answer any questions or support you, or try and tell you where you can get that support from as well. Other big popular now, this is usually the initial stepping stone for anyone wanting to start a business, and it is your third party marketplaces. They're great because you have access to a massive ready to buy audience from day one. You start listing products on these third party marketplaces, eBay, Amazon, and so forth. The customers are already landing on those websites. You don't have to worry about driving customers to it. You've got built in trust. Customers often feel safer buying from a household name platform. You're able to leverage their brand power. You feel a little bit more of buyer security when you're ordering from a popular marketplace because you know you can have that protection of returns if something was wrong and so forth. You've got fulfillment options. Many marketplaces now offer fulfillment options as an added service, allowing you to utilize an experienced logistic network. What I mean by that is you'll see, for instance, Amazon, you can send products to one of their fulfillment sites and they'll do all the fulfillment element for it. You just need to send the products there, make sure it's well labeled and so forth. There's even third party companies that do exactly the same if you're on your own website or if, for instance, you're on other marketplaces. But it is a consideration and a very, very big pro. The cons of doing so, well, the fees. You often come with a fee on each order, a percentage of the order. And sometimes you also get a listing fee as well. The other high competition, the other con is high competition. Your products appear right next to competitors. So really, what a lot of these marketplaces create is a price war. And you're needing to compete on price with these other businesses, which sometimes, as a consumer, someone buying it, you want to see the price lower. But as a business owner, you need to make sure you're abiding by those margins. And those margins need to include your time to find and locate stock, your time to market your brand as well. Even if you're on marketplaces, you're likely going to do an element of marketing and your limited branding. This is probably one of the biggest cons to consider when utilizing third party marketplaces. If you're wanting to build your own brand, have a brand that is recognizable, have a brand that you can see on flyers on the website homepage, people to know and recommend your brand to others, then marketplaces, people aren't going to look at the brand, they're going to look at the product and the price nine times out of 10, unless if you're already a household brand. So you need to bear that in mind. If you're looking at your branding and your limited brand asset positioning, marketplace might not be the right place. By brand asset positioning, what we mean is your logo in certain key areas. If you have your own website, you'll likely have your brand's core products on the hero, that initial part when the website loads either on your phone or on your website, you'll likely have your key products and information on your brand there. So for a marketplace, that is limited. Social commerce is another big area. Now I touched on it slightly with things like TikTok Shop just before there, but you've also got Facebook marketplaces as well, and these have a massive consumer ecosystem. Okay, Emma, no problem. Um, Social media provides a huge ready-to-buy consumer ecosystem similar to marketplaces ultimately, and I find myself more and more against the probably is the want of my partner. She's forever I'm forever saying I need to go and pick up something that I bought on Facebook Marketplace. It's usually golf related as well, and probably got a bit too much golf stuff. I'm still Colin, who's supporting with the chat today, will agree. I don't need any more golf equipment. I just need a bit more in terms of golf lessons. But I am constantly seeing stuff that I think is a great deal on social commerce that I would never think about buying, and I'll buy it. I'm terrible for it, and that's because I'm as many other people are the consumers within that ecosystem that so happen to come across other products. You do get high engagement as well. Social media users are happy to engage with brands, and this ultimately leads to organic growth. And that's very true. You may see a product that you really, really like or a new brand that stands out. And if you see it, you may engage in it, you may like the post or share the post, for instances, and that's getting them organic growth. And by doing so, their brand's awareness is growing, but also, more importantly, you're building a recognizable brand across a singular platform. And what that platform may well do, you may sell on it, but it may also drive customers to your own website. So it's got a two-in-one factor as well. And as I say, brand awareness there, as I touched on, using social media commerce options may help you to build brand awareness and drive customers to your website. That is, in a nutshell, a great way of using it. You can sell on a lot of social platforms now, but you can also drive traffic. The cons, you can be platform dependent. So, for instance, utilizing TikTok again, for instance, if you're selling solely via TikTok Shop, you are dependent on their app's algorithm, and that can suddenly reduce your growth and product visibility if that algorithm was to change. Or if something else out of your hands was to change, if you're solely dependent on a certain thing like social commerce, that may have a big impact on your financials. So do bear that in mind when you're having a consideration. Customer service expectations as well. I've seen it before where people do run social medias and quite popular social medias for their business. Customers may put a response on a comment or a reply on a video onto that business page, and they expecting instant reply. Like they're messaging their friends, they expecting instant reply on social media. And this customer service expectation is quite hard to match if you're a sole entrepreneur or a small team. So just bear that in mind as well, that maybe the best way to manage this is have a customer service process and explain if someone needs a question answered or needs support, then the best hood is to either go through your website's contact page or another route that you would like them to do so. And there is, of course, limited checkout control. You are bound by the platform's specific checkout and return tools. I want to add one other con to this as well. And the other con to, I suppose, social commerce is some of them don't have the option for you to do inventory management. Okay. It might be designed more for the singular sell of a product and not for multiple products being sold. And therefore, inventory management is very important to consider when choosing something like social commerce, or, for instance, when choosing another form of sales. But that, in a nutshell, is three of them. And just quickly in the chat, let me know, how do you currently sell your products? I've just seen someone mentioning Shopify in the chat there as well. But how do you currently sell your products? If you're already selling, how do you currently sell? If not, what ways are you planning on selling your products? Let us know in the discussion forum. And I'm going to have a drink of water before I lose my voice. I'm sure many of you won't complain. Website and social media. Fantastic, Brendan. Face to face and word of mouth. So, Martin, you do face to face to word of mouth. Are you planning on going e-commerce then, mate? Are you thinking about starting to do e-commerce a little bit more? Facebook business, maybe? Oh, I'm getting a lot in. Fantastic. Use it a lot, very engaging. That's great. I always use as a website built on Wix, Instagram, but building a Shopify. Fantastic. So, I'm at Amazon, Gumroad. Oh, I've never heard of Gumroad. Etsy, Facebook, Shopify, TikTok, YouTube. That's a lot, Emma. Wow. Sell through Team Machine, eBay, fragrances as main product, third-party websites, eBay. So a very diverse areas of sale, and that just shows you how many options you have to choose from when starting to sell on e-commerce. It is, in terms of the Vinted, Yvonne, Vinted, very popular. I'm ashamed to admit I had 14 parcels to pick up the other day after ordering on Vinted. 14. Holiday shopping, guys. That's what I'm doing. Holiday shopping. Um, but yeah, wow. So that shows you how many options you have to choose from. And the best way, and some added value here, the best way to decide on what platform to choose and use is understand your customer. And something what we call consumer profiling. I won't go into consumer profiling today because I'll be honest with you, that could be a whole different, I suppose, webinar discussing marketing and consumer profiling. We do have a market webinar coming up soon. So what I would highly recommend is check out our social channels, the business support service, because we will post when that marketing webinar is coming up, and it's going to be delivered by one of my fantastic colleagues. So it's a great way to really look at the marketing side, especially with e-commerce and product-based businesses. So a little plug there for the future webinar for you as well. But let's move on. Let's move to consumer contracts. So consumer contracts, it is a fundamental thing to consider. Okay, you need to consider things like return policies. Okay, you need to consider what rights a consumer has, because when you're put into a situation where a consumer is expecting you to act upon maybe a complaint or a disagreement, then if you know what you can say or what your rights are as a business, then you can act quickly and promptly, which gives the customer a good experience as well. Whether they agree or disagree with you, that's a whole new story. But let's move on. So, the Consumer Rights Act of 2015, and this is what they call the triple standard, right? Every product sold online must meet three statutory requirements. If it fails at any of these, the customer is entitled to a remedy. Okay? The satisfactory quality. Goods must not be faulty or damaged when they arrive. They should be durable and safe. We do get people who obviously have an issue when the delivery partners deliver a product and it's been damaged in transit. Now, usually the delivery company will have an insurance in place to protect you from that as a business, and they're claimable. If you've done it right, so I'll use Royal Mail for an instance. If you send a product via Royal Mail to a customer, normally you can choose the value of that product, and that is protected up to a nominal amount. And there you go through that process. The issue you will have is you need to rectify the customer side of things and then go through the delivery provider as well. Okay, the customer won't go through the delivery provider themselves, you will. Okay, needs to be fit for purpose, so the goods must be capable of doing what they were designed for. And anything the customer specifically, get me words out, specifically asked if they could do before buying. This is when you need to be very careful when a customer messages you or emails you asking if a product can do something. Make sure you know it can. Because as soon as you respond to them and tell them, yes, it can, and if they receive that product and it can't do what you've said it can, then it isn't fit for purpose. So bear that in mind and make sure it's as described. We mentioned product descriptions earlier for search engine optimization, but let's make sure also those products match the description that you have on there. In a world where AI is taking over a lot of the content writing for people, double check if you're using it because it can be incorrect. And an incorrect product description can put you in a bit of a pickle with a customer and cause issues with your brand's reputation and customer retention. So do bear that in mind. There is a fantastic resource called the Business Companion that you can go on, and they have a lot of information on consumer rights. I can't get my words out today. Consumer rights. Now, they're all a good resource, but again, you can speak to ourselves. We can signpost you to people like them. We can signpost you to other resources as well to support you. So, remedies for faulty goods. Okay, so maybe something has become faulty. Now, I did mention, of course, if it's happened in transit, there's a process to do with delivery partner. But the law provides a tiered approach to what a customer can ask for when something goes wrong. So the first 30 days, the short-term right to reject. If a goods fails the triple standard, the customer can reject them for a full refund. I want to just add quickly, bespoke products are very different. If it's bespokely made for an individual consumer, they have different rules. I will also add that the advisors here at the service aren't legally trained. They're not specifically consumer contract experts or lawyers. And therefore, when you've got an issue that is maybe a legal issue of a consumer and so forth, seeking legal advice is usually the best case, or looking at resources like the business companion. The business, as well, within the first 30 days, the business cannot force a repair or replacement during this period. The choice does belong to that individual consumer. You've got 30 days to 6 month period. This is the repair or replace. So after the first 30 days, you, the business ultimately, are entitled to one opportunity to repair or replace the item. This is your opportunity to sort it out for them. If the repair fails or the replacement is also faulty, the customer can then claim a full or partial refund. And this depends, whether it's full or partial, depends on a few different factors, such as the usage of the product the customer's had over a time period, as an example. Then you've got the 6 month to 6 year period, the burden of proof. Okay. Again, I want to stress enough each situation, each product in terms of bespokely made and so forth can slightly differ. This is a generalization to give you a relative understanding. Now, after 6 months, the customer must prove the fault was there at the time of delivery, and remedies are usually limited to repair or a partial refund, deducting money for the use the customer has already had. It's very similar to the above, but as I say, there has to be an element of proof that that fault was there at the time of delivery. Digital content and services. So the Consumer Rights Act was the first law, ultimately, to specifically include rights of non-physical products. Things like digital content like ebooks, software, and streaming must also be satisfactory quality, fit for purpose, and as described. Now, while there is no right to reject, since you can't really return a download ultimately, customers are entitled to a repair or replacement. And when we say repair, for instance, if it's a software and it's not performing or isn't working, maybe certain areas of software, let's say video editing software for your TikTok shop, if that isn't working properly, you can go back and try and get that repaired. It might be an issue within the decoding of the software, and it can be looked at. Streaming as well, if streaming's not up to the quality as you're paying for, maybe you pay for Ultra HD, for instance, it's not up to that quality, you can speak to the provider and they'll go through your rights there with them as well and the options available. Now, services such as web design and consulting must be carried out with reasonable care and skill. If a service isn't performed correctly, the customer can ask for it to be repeated or for a price reduction ultimately. So you may be building a website for someone and they may not be happy with the website or certain areas that website isn't working. Then they can go back and ask for it to be done properly at no extra cost, providing it is of the mistake of the developer, for instance. So that's digital content and services, and it is something that where this was the first time it was this is the first law to specifically include the rights to non-physical products as we enter an age where there is a lot of products that are provided digitally, your streaming, your TV, for instance, uh, ebooks and so forth. This has become more and more popular, and a lot of things such as web development, etc., is all done remotely now. Gone are the days where you go and meet the web developer and sit down and chat, and you usually do it online. So this gives the consumer an element of protection as well, and you do need to consider that. So how do you attract and retain customers? You've got the website, you've set up your contracts, you've got the products. It's time to get the customers and retain them. So attracting customers is very important. We touched on SEO earlier, search engine optimization. Now, optimizing your site so search engines and AI-driven tools in this day and age, so things like your Google AI and so forth, can find you. Now, you focus on a search intent, answering the specific questions your customers are asking ultimately. This could be, for instance, within your search product descriptions, you may have search terms that you think customers will use. So the type of wood it is, if it's a bit of furniture, the type of wood it is, if it's a certain color of chair, the color of the chair as well within the description. Maybe it's the styling of the chair as well. You want to get these keywords in because these are keywords to which a customer utilize to find them. Content marketing. You may use blogs, videos, guides to build authority to help generate brand awareness. You're wanting to be potentially, let's say, we move away from physical products for a second, you do a service. You may want to try and become the, I suppose, the online go to for that service of information. You might do that by doing some free valued content on marketing if you want to provide a marketing service, as an example. Social commerce, so utilizing those platforms we mentioned earlier and other platforms where your customers already spend their time. This is effective for visual discovery. But remember, the platform owns the audience, not you. That is so important. And then paid advertising, using targeted ads to reach your demographics. No, as of 2026, there are stricter rules for certain sectors, such as high fat, salt, and sugar and foods, regarding online ads. So just be a little bit careful with those elements and definitely refer to things like your food standard agency and also your business companion to get a better understanding. Marketing data protection is so important as well. So, a business, you must comply with GDPR, the UK GDPR, and PECA. So, that's your privacy and electronic communication regulations when marketing to individuals. You need explicit consent for most electronic marketing, things like email and text. You need a clear affirmative action from the customer. You can't have a pre-ticked box like you used to, or hidden sign-ups in your T's and C's. The customer needs to themselves agree to it by actioning it. They need to provide explicit consent. This is by ticking the box themselves. Okay. You can have the soft opt-in exception. So you may email existing customers about similar products if you give them an easy way to opt out at the point of the original purchase. And the right to object as well. You must include a simple and free unsubscribe link in every single marketing communication. You will find whenever you get a marketing communication via email, there is an unsubscribe either in the footer or the header of that email. It has to be there. It can be hard for the customer to unsubscribe from your marketing. And data minimization, you only should be collecting the data you actually need. If you don't need a customer's date of birth for a transaction, don't ask for it. The year something called the ICO, the Information Commissioner's Office. If you're holding consumer data in your marketing, for instances, you need to look at the ICO. You may need to register from them. Now, the price ranges in terms of an annual cost. I believe off the top of my head, it starts at £36 is a consideration to have. And that's £36 a year, by the way, because if there's a data leak, if you're holding consumer data and there's a leak, you need to know the process, but also people need to know where to report it as well. All the best. Take care. Um, let's see the next one. So, retention, by the way, it costs up to 5 times more to acquire a new customer than to retain an existing one. Now, when I worked in the space of e-commerce and helping people, this is a fundamental thing that I used to always say to a lot of my clients as well. Okay. When you speak to your customer, when you acquire a customer, they've made their first sale. You've created that relationship. They know your brand. They know they can trust you, which is so important. Therefore, the acquisition cost, the consumer acquisition cost, or CAC, as it's abbreviating a lot of jargon when it comes to e-commerce, is the highest cost you will have in terms of selling a product. Once you've acquired that customer, you need to retain them. Now, you can do this through email marketing, so your most powerful tool for retention, because you own the list, use it for order updates, personalization, recommendations, and win back campaigns for inactive customers. It's so important to use email marketing if you can, because it's a way where a customer can remember you. If you ping an email over and they go, "Oh, actually, that is the company where I got this lovely T-shirt from, or the lovely hoodie from," and then they'll do another order. Post-purchase experience, the unboxing moment and ease of return process is also critical. I'll use an example. My partner ordered some clothing from a very popular, nice clothing brand not that long ago. The packaging actually got her to order more because it was such a lovely experience. My bank balance cried nonetheless. But subscription models create reoccurring value. Subscribe and save model, for instance, this acquires your customer who's going to have an ongoing balance coming out to you for this subscription. Very popular. I'm going to be honest with you though, it is great in terms of as a customer, you save a little bit of money. It's amazing for you as a business because it's a forecastable income. You can forecast this for as long as they're subscribed. So you can have a rough idea of what next month's revenue is going to be from your subscription model and first party data as well. In a world where third party cookies are disappearing quite often now, building your own database of customer preferences allows you to better personalize without relying on external platforms. It allows you to know what certain customers have. And I don't know why my screens just went off. Please accept my apologies. Don't know what's happened here. Bear with me. There we go. Technology's having is really challenging me today. Right. So common pitfalls in marketing. So the common pitfalls. So we've done marketing data retention. Yep. Common pitfalls in marketing. So drip pricing, adding a mandatory fee at the end can actually really cause issues for customers at the final stage of checkout, like a handling for your service charge. Be very transparent with your pricing. Okay. Fake reviews, you are responsible for ensuring reviews on your site are genuine. Incentivized reviews, e.g., reviews for a discount, must be clearly labeled. Or if you were sent a product or you sent products to people to review on your behalf, it needs to be labeled as of such. Okay. Subscription traps make it difficult to cancel or failing to provide clear information on when the trial period ends or when one of your subscriptions, if someone wants to cancel. It needs to be highlighted. Okay. It needs to be easy for a customer to process and do. Poor mobile user experience is also important to consider. I don't know about any of yous, but most of my shopping is done via my phone now. I very rarely go on my laptop to shop or a computer. I always do it via my phone. And that's the same for 70% of e-commerce traffic. So make sure that your mobile is friendly, your website and your ordering is friendly to a mobile is important. Because if your marketing emails or checkout pages aren't mobile friendly, you're going to lose customers at that very final hurdle. That's going to be infuriating. And then just to touch on some common pitfalls. So you need to bear in mind with treating inventory as close enough. Okay. One of the common mistakes is not managing your inventory. So make sure that you're managing what products are where because you don't want to run out of product when someone's made an order. It's going to make you look bad. It's going to make your brand look bad. The one-man band scaling trap. Many owners try to handle every return and customer query personally. As you grow, this becomes a bottleneck and leads to slow response times and negative reviews. Again, know when to expand your staffing. And again, you can speak to us if you're looking at recruiting, because we can give you the core considerations of doing so. Disconnected systems, so separate tools for everything, can cause issues as well. So inventory, accounting, and so forth. And then overlooking packaging utilities. Using oversized boxes increases your shipping costs. A fragile package increases damages. So make sure you're researching everything as you go. But as we draw to an end, that is our contact details. Now, I appreciate and I thank you for being patient earlier on. I do apologize about the technical issues, but thank you for being very, very active in the chat. I can see a lot of you are taking the marketing quite literal there. So well done. Thank you for attending. Has anyone got any quick questions? I appreciate we've only got a couple of minutes left, but has anyone got any quick questions? Thank you, Sling. I appreciate that. Yes, Carlos, ask away. No problem, Simon. Thank you. Thanks, Ahmed. Appreciate that. Yeah, so Carlos, what I would advise if you're looking for a mentor, we can have a look to see what local or national mentor programs are. Now, we do have a WhatsApp as a web chat, sorry, as a business that you can utilize. It's because I've just read WhatsApp in the chat there, my mistake. We also have a telephone number. You can call us on the 0800 number, speak to an advisor because they can have a look at your local mentoring, but also point you towards national as well. So I would definitely come back and have a look and speak to us on that because we can have a look for you. Oh, I'm getting a lot of, bear with me, I'm getting a lot here. Oh, is my mouse going to work for me? Uh, no problem, Carlos. Let's have a look, see what else. Oh, it's jumping all over. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to see the message, the questions, but it is jumping on over. So let me just see if I can get this to play ball. There we go. Yeah, let's have a look. So cosmetics, Songy, I've just seen you there about cosmetics-based products. Again, definitely reach out to us. This is going to be a lot of what I'm going to say here is reach out to us because we can have a more bespoke and in-depth chat with yourselves. We can certainly go over considerations for starting a cosmetic product because there's a lot to consider. Are you importing it, for instances? So we can have a chat as well in relation to that. Certainly, the presentation will be shared. Well, so do reach out and do check out our social media. We're on the core ones. We're on X, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So check them out. Our previous webinars that we've delivered are on our YouTube as well. So go check that out. But if you check our socials out, you can see when future webinars are coming along, and definitely get signed up um, on that. So Mark, I'm just reading your question now. It's a broad question that is different for each third party, but how open are brands typically to working with new e-commerce businesses providing a way for their products, for example? It really does depend on the provider and the businesses as well. Um, from my experience, personal experience, it's all about rapport building. As in anything, you're wanting to build rapport with them and build their trust as much as anything else. What a lot of businesses that provide a range of products, ranges, they don't want to waste the time as much as you don't want to waste your time. So they want to filter out people that just have a dream to people that want to be actionable. So it's building that rapport and building that trust with them. So let's see what else is there. As I said, this presentation will be shared, but also it will be on our YouTube as well very soon. Um, I know we only have a couple of minutes left, so what I'm going to do, I appreciate I've not answered everyone's questions. I do apologise. My discussion forums going up and down every time a new message comes in. I love that you are so active. I really appreciate that. I can see some of my colleagues are responding as well, so I appreciate that. Tracy and Colin, big round of applause to them for helping out in the chat there. But please do reach out to us if you have any questions, and we'll help out where we can in terms of answering them and really help and point you in the right direction for growing your e-commerce business. But what I will do is I'll leave yous all to go away, start building your business, and I'll thank yous all for coming up to the webinar today. It's been absolutely great to have such an active discussion forum, and I appreciate again your patience at the beginning there. But please do reach out, come speak to myself and one of my colleagues, and we can certainly have a chat and support you where we can. All the best, everyone.